So the big game news this morning is Microsoft closed down a bunch of Bethesda studios. Um, this includes Arcane Austin and GameWorks. Uh, Sorry for everyone who lost their job. This really sucks. I know I was talking earlier about how people are finding jobs, but it's just also this unsustainable way that some people are approaching things, right? And so look at Tango GameWorks as the example. Hi-Fi Rush was a hit. They gave it no pre-build up. They just released it. It came out. It was available on Game Pass. People played it. They liked it. It was a success, and they closed the studio. Now they've had some people leaving from there, sure, but like still, come on, man, come on. But like, did they not judge the success of that game by if that was a good game, and instead judge the success of that game by did that lessen the churn on Game Pass? Is that how games are judged now at Microsoft? Because as they close these smaller studios and kind of just go for the big bets, they kind of lose what their history was. Their Xbox 360 and all of that came from a lot of work a lot of people did about highlighting small games, indies, weird games. Remember all the weird games that used to be on Xbox 360? It was like, what, $5 and you could make a game and put it up on there? Or something like that, right? There was a bunch of good, strange, weird stuff, and that differentiated it from PlayStation. But now Xbox, the console, the physical hardware is failing in the sense of that it is losing out to Sony, where some third-party developers are asking if it makes sense to even make anything for the Xbox. So then Xbox is like, okay, we have to shift of who we are. We're Game Pass because it's a subscription and we can count on this revenue, and it's not hit-driven because we're really bad at making hits. Again, Microsoft is really bad at making hits. Name the studio Microsoft bought or homegrown that got better or made a hit. This is not to knock the people who work there, but I know the level of management. Boy, in fact, I think there is probably an inverse relationship between the number of lifetime awards given to management of Microsoft studios to the number of hit games they've made. And when I say hit, I mean that Microsoft was happy with their success. This is the thing of like, right, the games have to make all the money. They just can't make some of the money. And there's so much stupidity we can talk about here. But Microsoft is no longer a game studio. Microsoft is a technology company inside of Microsoft. Xbox is a technology company inside of Microsoft, and it needs to play by those rules. And those rules are about hyper growth and giant revenue or subscriptions, right? Because we should all subscribe to 50,000 things. So like, I think my Game Pass subscription is becoming less valuable. So I think for me, Game Pass was valuable when there was just a ton of new indie games coming up on it all of the time, and Microsoft was funding a bunch of those, and they were actually paying good money, and you were seeing a lot of good developers making good stuff that was going up on it. And some of them were really small little experiences, and some of them were good experiences, some of them were big experiences, right? But it was this kind of like always coming out. Now, recently added is a Tomb Raider, Manor Lords. Oh, Manor Lords is on there. That's a good deal. Okay, that's good. I mean, the older Jedi Survivor game, Orcs Must Die 3. Yeah, I liked Orcs Must Die. I don't mean to be slamming that. But okay, so they got Manor Lords. That's good. That's a good pickup. But like, are they looking at that and going, "Oh, this isn't stopping churn. So what we need to do is stop these smaller games and stop investing in these and instead go for just big AAA games"? The Manor Lords is a good pickup. So, okay, that doesn't make sense either. I mean, well, maybe that was the old way then they were paying. Who knows? But like, we're seeing this continued going after the big giant games as a service, right? Because Arcane Austin, which got closed down, got switched from making these titles that Arcane is known for to trying to make a games as a service game that didn't really fit them, wasn't in their wheelhouse, and they struggled with that, right? I mean, it did not help whatever you think about the game, but IGN's like gleeful excitement over the failure of that game was just gross. I mean, IGN, fuck IGN. But like, what is Microsoft trying to do at this point? Because I've asked this, I remember I asked this like 6 months ago. Does Microsoft know how to make games? That's a real question I have. Like, does a Microsoft studio, are they set up to understand how to make games as a studio that's run by Microsoft? Not one of the ones that they bought and kind of leave hands off. Like, I think Tim Schafer's safe. They can just keep doing their thing for now. But like, does a Microsoft run studio know how to make games? I don't know. Halo struggled. I mean, say what you want about Halo. I appreciate everyone who worked hard on that game, but that was not the success that Microsoft was looking for. They were looking for their giant games as a service. Hey, this is going to be the game that's going to be, existing for the next 30 years, and they've stopped updating it, right? Or something, right? So what is Microsoft's play here? Because if you go and say, okay, the only thing and so you go, okay, our console, the hardware is not selling. People aren't wanting to put their games on there. So now we need to become a software company. And if we're going to become a software company, we want to make this subscription. If we want to put a subscription on other platforms, then we need to make it valuable. And hey, these games, these small games aren't doing it. So we need to make just big giant games, because they were trying to do this like quarterly release of games. And I think Bethesda kind of let them down a little bit there in their thinking of what it looked like. So I think you have to look at these things as not that Microsoft is stupid, but that Microsoft is greedy and it now considers games a tech industry, and it's changing how it's approaching it. Because don't ever think they're stupid. They can be short-sighted. Sure, I think they're being short-sighted here, not understanding what feeds the system at the end of the day and needing to turn it around. And it may be they just need to do this because the higher-ups are saying, hey, you got to turn this ship around right away. That could be. Because in the big scheme of things, this is so little of money for Microsoft compared to what everything else does. But it's just such a visual in the forefront part of it. And I just can't think of like, if Microsoft is sitting there and going, okay, we need to put, like, they're putting their games on other, isn't Hi-Fi Rush one of the ones they put on the Sony? But like, if we're putting our games onto other platforms, we just need to be making games that make money. And so then we only need to do the big giant games, and that's all that's going to come out. But like, the studios that are successful at that, call Valve successful at that, call Riot successful at that, they know how to make games. They've made big hit games, and so that path, that funnel works for them. Microsoft hasn't. Microsoft just hasn't. Am I missing one? Am I missing a game? And I'm poo-pooing the Halo series maybe here a little bit, because for me that isn't one that resonates. And I'm not sure what was underneath Microsoft control and what was under Bungie control. But like, I appreciate Microsoft's in a hard spot. I do. But like, and to be clear, and you don't just go, well, look at how Valve is so great with Steam. No. Valve doesn't invest in the community in any way. Valve just reaps the rewards of people putting their games on there, and then highlights and amplifies the winners, and then doesn't put anything back into the system for the smaller developers. I love Valve, but let's be honest, that's what they do, right? So they don't do these investments like Sony and Microsoft do. And Microsoft's now in this place where maybe those investments aren't seeing the return that they want to the thing that they want. And the thing that they want is Game Pass, and they need to have that subscription, not have churn. And okay, here, Microsoft, do you want to fix it? Let people buy Game Pass by the year. Go. You think I'm crazy saying this? You think I'm crazy saying this, right? Go out right now and try to buy a year subscription to Game Pass. You can. Kind of. And it depends, because there may be some cards still around. But they don't make it a normal way to do it. But why don't they? Why don't they just say, hey, you can, for $120, you can have Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate or whatever, all that naming stupidity. But I go back and I think EA Origin subscription. I am an early adopter of that. Probably one of the first 100 people that signed up for that, because I did this simple math and I said it was like, I want to say it was $90 and new games were $60 at the time. So for $90, I got Madden. I get Madden every year. Yeah. Kill me. I know I'm a mainstream guy, right? So I get Madden. That's $60. So anything else I get is $30. So they were getting like a Battlefield or Anthem was coming. Yeah, that didn't pay off. All right, but shut up. But like, there's something always they come out with once a year that I would buy. And so that game was then half price at $30. So of course I'm going to buy their subscription. And in fact, I only just recently dumped it. But like EA is a good example actually of, they're struggling now. I don't even know what games EA makes anymore. But for a while there, they were really good at integrating studios because they took the time, right? They said, hey, we're going to buy this studio and then it's going to be like 2 or 3 years before it pays off and comes around. And like, they actually did good stuff with DICE. DICE had good games come out of it underneath EA. I think even Westwood had a run of good games out of it under EA. Like studios, The Sims, like studios could be purchased by EA, and EA had an understanding of how to let them be them in an EA way. Microsoft just doesn't have that. I can't think of a studio. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like someone's going to come and be like, oh, they created, I don't know. I mean, they've had some smaller successes with keeping some stuff alive and doing some things, but like this chasing after the Call of Duty and making that all about it. And they're back to that the games can't just make money. They have to make all the money. And it's getting tiring as somebody who makes games that is all it is, of like, yeah, it's a business. You want to make money. I get it. But like, there's something to be said about, like, movies have prestige movies, right? Where they fund a movie that isn't going to be the giant box office hit, but it's going to win the awards or whatever. And honestly, most of those are crap too. Don't get me started on Hollywood. But like, Microsoft just doesn't do that anymore, right? Even EA does that, right? EA, go look at their EA. So EA Partners is what Valve used to be part of. And so I know a bunch of people, and I think they're gone now, but knew a bunch of people over there. And they had a good idea of what they were trying to do, of using their path to retail at the time, because that was important as a way to get other people access to that, right? And we can talk about a whole bunch of problems they had and why there were mistakes made, but it was a good idea fundamentally, right? And Valve wasn't published by EA, but just distributed by EA because we wanted to go on the back of their distribution. And that worked, but as things went digital, EA lost that. But then EA does go do some smaller games, and you'll notice like some, I don't call them art games, but they're definitely some more different kind of games. I mean, this is the stuff that's not made by them, but I was just looking up of what they call that now. I don't even know what they call it because they do it so infrequently. But I mean, It Takes Two was one of those, but also there's some smaller. Oh my God, I'm going to feel really, really bad that I don't remember the game I want to remember about loss. I'm sorry. But like, they had an idea, and it seems like they're doing less. I'm actually on their platform just seeing it. Are they just, so they're Apex Legends and then sports games, right? It's a lot of sports games. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, but even then, if you play 2 of the sports games, do people do that? Do people play American football and soccer? I don't know. I am rambling because I am at a loss today of how to think about what Microsoft should be doing here. Because what they should be doing is not what they're doing. Because they're not admitting to who they are. And I don't know how they go forward with this without having that that big anchor of being the Xbox platform and instead being this more nebulous Xbox Game Pass platform. I bet you're going to screw that name up there. I mean, some crazy name. I don't know. So I'm kind of curious of what people are thinking. Are people sad to see those studios go? Do they not care? Are they joining the IGN train and cheering it on? They're probably not cheering it on now. And they'll probably have a really good article in 2 years about what happened. But yeah, it's a bummer because I was hoping the big set of layoffs were over and that we were, like I said the other day, of like seeing people coming back and everyone finding a job. And now there's gonna be a whole new group of people who are looking for jobs. That's kind of a little bit of a side benefit here that they weren't part of the massive one so that they could have, I don't know, slowly come back into the system. I'm sure no one at Microsoft thought of it that way, but yeah. I don't know. I'm bummed today. I'm bummed. I hate social media today. I hate how people are talking about this. I hate people and there's a lot of people who are sympathetic about this. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. I was going to play games today. But this is a reason why supporting indie games and making sure that there's the non-rolled up, non-consolidated versions of games exist that can just exist for being games and for being strange and weird. And I was playing Kevin 1997 to 2077 last night. I need to go back to it because I'm confused as fuck. I'm not that smart. I may not be smart enough for this game. Sometimes you have to admit it. Maybe I'll play Manor Lords today. I keep meaning to get into that. Because I was playing some abiotic factor, but realizing I really wanted to play that with a group and not solo. There's Gray Zone Warfare. I was playing Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands again, but now they have this thing that you can rank up and it makes the game really hard. And now it's super, super hard. And I only like it in small doses. I don't know. TikTok thinks I'm a middle-aged Hispanic woman and only shows me videos for that demographic. I know how to do my nails if I only could speak Spanish. I'm actually trying to learn Spanish right now. I don't know. Yeah, I'm in one of those moods. Yeah. It'll get better. Just not now.